It began not with a trumpet's call, but with the whisper of parchment, a queen's trembling hand, and the soft crackle of wax sealing fate. One queen prayed for mercy, the other begged for forgiveness. We begin at the end, because history never starts where we think it does. Elizabeth, daughter of Henry, the flame-haired queen who outlived every danger but never her own doubts. The crown shone bright upon her brow, yet her heart lived in the shadow of another woman's name. Mary. Mary, Queen of Scots, her cousin, her mirror, her ghost. Across the sea and through the bars of time, Mary's face haunted every candlelit council, every midnight prayer. Here was Mary, a queen stripped of her throne, her beauty dimmed by years of suspicion, her faith her only weapon, her voice carried only to God. Two women, two queens, bound not by blood alone but by the unending question of power and faith. Elizabeth walked through her palace halls, golden tapestries glinting in torchlight, yet in every mirror she saw Mary watching her. Was it guilt? Was it prophecy? Or the cruel reflection of what every ruler fears is that the crown is never truly theirs to keep? Outside, London pulsed with rumor. The Catholics whispered of rebellion. The Protestants sharpened their fears. And between there stood one woman, the Virgin Queen, facing a kingdom divided by its own soul. But even queens feel loneliness. Even monarchs dream of peace. And in the quiet of her chambers, Elizabeth would sometimes speak to the shadows, as if Mary were listening. In the Tower, or in her prison far north, Mary prayed for freedom. Not vengeance, not victory, just the right to breathe unchained air again. Her words bled into parchment letters filled with longing, faith, and despair. They traveled like secrets on the wind, carried by loyal hands, read by watchful eyes. Their letters, so many letters, crossed the air like doves and like daggers. Words dressed as kindness, words laced with secrets. Elizabeth read them all, or perhaps she only read between the lines, for in those fragile pages she saw herself reflected a woman burdened by power, a queen caught between mercy and duty. Then came the letter, the one that changed everything. The ink was still wet. When the spy's eyes found it, hidden in the folds of a beer barrel, slipped by the hands trembling with loyalty or fear. What did that letter say? History asks. And though centuries have turned, we still lean closer to listen. Some say it spoke of freedom. Others claim it whispered death. But whatever truth it carried, it sealed two fates and ended a chapter England would never forget. In that moment, the world held its breath. Did she already know that her cousin had conspired, or was it the letter that broke her heart and hardened it forever? Elizabeth surrounded by gold, Mary surrounded by stone, each bound by faith, by love of country, and by the terrible loneliness of queens. Outside the Tower walls, winter winds swept through the streets of London, carrying whispers of judgment. Men with ink-stained hands wrote proclamations. Women crossed themselves in fear. Even the bells of Westminster seemed to toll more slowly, as if mourning what was to come. Mary's final dawn came gray and still. She dressed in crimson, the color of martyrdom, and walked with quiet grace to her fate. Elizabeth stayed behind her palace doors, pacing, praying, asking heaven to forgive. What duty demanded? The axe fell once, then again, and history shuddered. Silence followed, the kind of silence that lingers not in rooms, but in souls. Elizabeth lived on, victorious, yet haunted, for every crown is a circle of thorns, and hers pressed deepest when she was alone. And though her reign would shine as a golden age, her nights remained shadowed by a single thought that her greatness had come at the cost of a cousin's blood. For the viewers who watch and wonder, this is more than history. It is the story of human frailty, of women who carried nations on their shoulders and still longed for mercy. Two queens divided by faith, united by destiny. Two souls bound not by envy, but by the tragic weight of being chosen. And so we begin our tale not with battle or crown, but with a letter, a shadow, and a queen who could not escape her reflection. Because behind every throne lies the echo of the one who might have taken it. The court of Elizabeth was a theater, and she is its brightest star. Lords bowed, ladies curtsied, music swelled, and laughter gilded every deceit. But beneath the gold and silk, a tremor ran through England's heart. The Queen's spies moved like ghosts through corridors, listening, measuring, remembering. No word was small enough to escape their notice, no prayer too private to be heard. In those days, the walls themselves seemed to breathe secrets. Elizabeth would smile before her courtiers, her face painted in composure, her jewels catching candlelight like captured suns. Yet behind that calm, her mind never rested. There were rumors again, rumors of a Catholic rising, of a foreign prince plotting, of Mary's name whispered in the dark. At the far end of the great hall, music drifted through the air like a spell. A dance began, but the Queen did not move, her eyes fixed instead on the shadows beyond the torches, as though expecting someone to step forward and challenge her reign. Her advisers felt the change in her mood. Francis Walsingham, her spy master, stood near the edge of the hall, hands folded behind his back, his gaze steady, unblinking. He had seen the letters, he had followed the trails, and though he spoke little, his silence was enough to darken any room. "My lady," he said quietly when the music paused, "the North grows restless again." The words fell like stones into water. Elizabeth's hand tightened on her goblet. Her lips curved, not into a smile, but something colder. "The North," she murmured, "or the woman who waits within it?" He did not answer. He didn't need to. For miles away, in a gray castle of stone, Mary, Queen of Scots, sat beside a small window, watching the winter light fade from the hills. She had grown thinner. Her hair was threaded with silver, but her eyes still burned, bright, unyielding, the eyes of a queen who remembered the feel of power. Her keeper, Sir Amyas Paulet, watched her every movement. Even her prayers were counted, her meals weighed, her words read before they ever reached another soul. And yet somehow, messages still found their way to her, letters written in invisible ink, sealed in wax, smuggled within the cork of bottles or the seams of cloth. Each one a spark of hope, each one a danger. One such letter lay open before her now. It spoke of London, of unrest, of men willing to fight for the old faith. It spoke of Elizabeth, and of vengeance cloaked in devotion. Mary read it twice, then pressed her hand to her chest, as if to still her heart. Was it salvation, or a snare? In her silence, she almost heard Elizabeth's voice. Her cousin's words still echoed from years past, letters once filled with kindness, now sharp as daggers. "My dear sister in Christ." That was how they had begun. But how they would end, that Mary could never predict. In London, the Queen's Council gathered in secret. Cecil's papers lay spread across the oak table, names scrawled, routes mapped, confessions sealed. "The Ridolfi matter is finished," one said. "Yet they gather again. The Catholics do not sleep." Elizabeth listened, motionless. Her face was carved of restraint, but beneath it stirred something human, a weariness too deep for crowns. When the council rose, she stayed behind, gazing at the flicker of a single candle. "Tell me, Walsingham," she said softly, "if I kill her, will my soul be saved or damned?" He hesitated. He had seen her doubt before, but never so bare. "Your Majesty," he said at last, "your crown cannot share its shadow." Outside, thunder rolled over London. Rain traced the windows like tears. And in the tower another letter was found, written in code, signed with a familiar hand. Elizabeth did not sleep that night. In her dreams she saw Mary again, kneeling in a small chapel, a candle flickering near her folded hands. The sound of rain turned to whispers, the whispers to voices, the voices to 1,000 prayers, all calling one name: Mary. When she awoke, the dawn was pale and thin. She walked to her window and watched the city stir. Chimneys smoked, bells tolled. The world moved on, indifferent to the weight of a queen's conscience. But in her chest, the question remained. Was it mercy to wait, or cruelty to let hope linger? The letter from the north still burned in her memory. And somewhere beyond the fog, a rider galloped toward London, carrying news that would soon shatter the fragile peace. History remembers crowns and wars, but it is in these quiet moments, between the breath and the blade, that destiny is written. Elizabeth did not sleep that night. In her dreams, she saw Mary again, kneeling in a small chapel, a candle flickering near her folded hands. The sound of rain turned to whispers, the whispers to voices, the voices to 1,000 prayers, all calling one name: Mary. When she awoke, the dawn was pale and thin. She walked to her window and watched the city stir. Chimneys smoked, bells tolled. The world moved on, indifferent to the weight of a queen's conscience. But in her chest, the question remained. Was it mercy to wait, or cruelty to let hope linger? The letter from the north still burned in her memory, and somewhere beyond the fog, a rider galloped toward London, carrying news that would soon shatter the fragile peace. History remembers crowns and wars, but it is in these quiet moments, between the breath and the blade, that destiny is written. Elizabeth turned from the window, the first light catching her hair like fire. "Send word," she said. And though her voice was calm, the court would remember that morning for years. For the Virgin Queen had finally chosen the path that would bind her soul to history. The messenger rode through the rain, bearing the order that would seal a queen's fate. And far to the north, Mary lifted her eyes to heaven. As if she already knew, Elizabeth stood by the window, her hands clasped tightly, her gaze fixed on the rain tracing paths down the glass. Outside, the bells of Westminster tolled not for celebration, but for time slipping away. She had read the letter 100 times. Each word was a whisper of betrayal, each line a thorn pressed deeper into the fragile peace she had once tried to protect. Mary's plea for mercy, or perhaps her prayer for freedom, had reached her, but it carried the scent of rebellion, the echo of another crown waiting to rise. Elizabeth's counselors urged her toward one choice. "The realm must come first," Cecil reminded her, voice cold as the winter draft that swept through the hall. Yet in the silence that followed, Elizabeth heard only her heart, the part of her still tethered to the girl she once was, not the queen she had become. Across the border, in her lonely chamber, Mary prayed beneath flickering lamplight. Her rosary slipped between her fingers, beads clicking softly like the ticking of fate. She had written with hope, but now the silence from London told her everything. Days passed, then weeks. "I didn't hear back from you." And so the refusal broke. Elizabeth's silence was not indecision, it was judgment. The axe had not yet fallen, but the world already shifted beneath Mary's feet. Her captors grew colder, her meals smaller, her letters searched and burned. Still, she wrote again a final message, hidden in code, carried by trembling hands through corridors of suspicion. When it was discovered, Elizabeth did not speak. She simply turned away. It was said she wept that night not for Mary's fate, but for the part of her soul that could no longer forgive. Because mercy, once denied, changes the giver forever. And as the snow fell over the palace roofs, the Virgin Queen stood alone, wrapped in silence more suffocating than guilt itself. Even a queen cannot unmake her own refusal, and even a saint cannot escape it. It was small, folded twice, sealed with trembling wax, the last message of a woman who still dared to believe in grace. The courier said nothing as he placed it upon the table before the queen. Elizabeth stared at it for a long while. The fire beside her whispered, pulling her thoughts toward its glow. She knew that once it was opened, there would be no turning back. The room was still. Only the crackle of the heart broke the silence. When she broke the seal, the scent of rose oil drifted out of Mary's unmistakable mark. Inside, her words were careful, poised between confession and defiance. She spoke of faith, of divine right, of forgiveness. Yet beneath every phrase lingered a quiet accusation that Elizabeth's mercy was colder than her judgment, that her silence had become a weapon sharper than any blade. Elizabeth read to the end. Her hands were trembling. Then she lifted her eyes to the fire. A single spark leapt upward, catching the edge of the parchment. For a heartbeat, the flame hesitated in a delicate dance between surrender and survival. Then it consumed the letter whole. The ashes curled like dying moths upon the stone. It was small, folded twice, sealed with trembling wax, the last message of a woman who still dared to believe in grace. The courier said nothing as he placed it upon the table before the queen. Elizabeth stared at it for a long while. The fire beside her whispered, pulling her thoughts toward its glow. She knew that once it was opened, there would be no turning back. The room was still. Only the crackle of the hearth broke the silence. When she broke the seal, the scent of rose oil drifted out of Mary's unmistakable mark. Inside, her words were careful, poised between confession and defiance. She spoke of faith, of divine right, of forgiveness. Yet beneath every phrase lingered a quiet accusation, that Elizabeth's mercy was colder than her judgment, that her silence had become a weapon sharper than any blade. Elizabeth read to the end. Her hands were trembling. Then she lifted her eyes to the fire. A single spark leapt upward, catching the edge of the parchment. For a heartbeat, the flame hesitated in a delicate dance between surrender and survival. Then it consumed the letter whole. The ashes curled like dying moths upon the stone. In that moment, the room seemed to darken. The gold tapestries lost their glow. Even the air changed, as if the walls themselves understood what had been done. That morning, the queen spoke to no one. Her breakfast went untouched. Her reflection in the mirror looked older than it had been the night before. But across the sea of fog and hills, Mary's fate was sealed. The words that might have saved. She had turned to smoke in Elizabeth's own chamber. There are moments in history that are not written in ink, but in ash. And when the wind carried those ashes away, it carried the last chance for forgiveness with them. It was small, folded twice, sealed with trembling wax, the last message of a woman who still dared to believe in grace. The courier said nothing as he placed it upon the table before the queen. Elizabeth stared at it for a long while. The fire beside her whispered, pulling her thoughts toward its glow. She knew that once it was opened, there would be no turning back. The room was still. Only the crackle of the heart broke the silence. When she broke the seal, the scent of rose oil drifted out of Mary's unmistakable mark. Inside, her words were careful, poised between confession and defiance. She spoke of faith, of divine right, of forgiveness. Yet beneath every phrase lingered a quiet accusation, that Elizabeth's mercy was colder than her judgment, that her silence had become a weapon sharper than any blade. Elizabeth read to the end. Her hands were trembling. Then she lifted her eyes to the fire. A single spark leapt upward, catching the edge of the parchment. For a heartbeat, the flame hesitated in a delicate dance between surrender and survival. Then it consumed the letter whole. The ashes curled like dying moths upon the stone. In that moment, the room seemed to darken. The gold tapestries lost their glow. Even the air changed, as if the walls themselves understood what had been done. That morning, the Queen spoke to no one. Her breakfast went untouched. Her reflection in the mirror looked older than it had the night before. But across the sea of fog and hills, Mary's fate was sealed. The words that might have saved. She had turned to smoke in Elizabeth's own chamber. There are moments in history that are not written in ink, but in ash. And when the wind carried those ashes away, it carried the last chance for forgiveness with them. The castle never slept. Whispers filled empty halls. Footsteps echoed through stone. Time itself seemed listening. Elizabeth heard them too. Midnight silence held breath. Candle flickered, wax dripped. Sound came from chapel. She rose, candle trembling. Corridors cold, shadows deep. Only echoes answered back. And scent of roses. Mary's scent, haunting still. Crimson dress, calm eyes. Silent gaze, accusing soul. Dreams turned into confession. Advisors noticed her change. Laughter faded, smiles gone. Decisions weighed like chains. Queen moved with hesitation. In gardens, roses withered. Gloves brushed dying petals. Gloriana, the radiant queen, now dimmed by ghosts. Her final letter whispered, "The crown feels heavy now." But Mary's name unspoken. Silence guarded that wound. Winter winds howled louder. Guards saw figures watching, one white, one red, two souls bound eternal. Elizabeth never feared them, only waited, calm, resigned. Peace refused her throne. History never grants mercy. Guilt lingers past power, soft breath upon glass. Memory refuses to fade. Prayer left unanswered still. Golden halls, haunted heart. Shadows her final court. Victory's price was love. Every crown hides loss. Years drifted like mist. Thames carried time softly. Faces changed, hearts lingered. Unease haunted every corridor. Elizabeth watched each dawn. Light crawled across London. The world below glittered. None of it touched her. Jewels cold against skin. Power never meant warmth. It was only armor. Heavy, gleaming, isolating forever. Memories came unbidden nightly. Mary's laughter in Scotland. Her tenderness. Her faith. Truth replaced ghostly shadows. She thought of mercy. Letters that went unanswered. Fates might have shifted. Sisters instead of rivals. Counselors feared her silence. Queen fading, eyes distant. Perhaps she was listening. Listening to old echoes. Spring returned, gardens bloomed, roses red and white. Two flags intertwined peacefully. She whispered, "Peace for all." Sun sank behind Westminster. Elizabeth closed weary eyes. Courtiers waited for command. None came, only silence. Rivalry ended in understanding. Not victory, not grief. Only quiet human truth. Forgiveness beneath the crown. They called her Virgin Queen. But solitude was penance. Rain carried crown and conscience. Gold weighed by regret. When candles' flame dimmed, shadow stood beside her. No longer fear, familiar. Peace finally found home. If legends speak true, Elizabeth's last breath smiled, not as sovereign crowned, but as soul forgiven. Years passed, ink dried, legends formed from sorrow. Time folded into whispers, names became soft prayers. Children spoke their names, two stars once collided. One burned with duty, one glowed with faith. Both consumed by fire, both trapped by crowns, both reaching for peace, finding only its cost. In northern quiet chapels, Mary's name still glimmered. Roses lay on stone, red for courage's breath, white for pure forgiveness. Some said air softened as if she prayed, still for her condemners, still for her peace. In grand Westminster's stillness, Elizabeth's tomb stood proud. partners in throne, grave, words carved like pennants. Beneath that cold stone, two queens finally rested. Rivals turned eternal companions. History's hands closed gently. Time sought to heal what life could not. Scholars reopened old vaults, found poetry, not politics. Letters trembled with faith, with love, with fear. Every seal was prayer, every word, confession whispered. Judgment faded into wonder, how crowns could crush, how mercy took centuries, how hearts still endured. Power fades, kingdoms crumble, faith and sorrow linger, but mercy remains eternal. Their echo never dies. Two queens, two hearts, one story, forgiveness everlasting. Even history bows low before mercy's quiet light. The centuries grew quieter, footsteps faded into hush, museums held glass treasures, crowns and jewels sealed. Something unseen lingered still. Winter nights whispered softly, wind carried secret voices. Speaking of choices past, Elizabeth's voice, resolute, trembling. Mary's, sorrowful yet serene. Some felt warmth there, forgiveness seemed to breathe. Power ended, crowns dusted. Stories became shadows eternal. Virgin queen, Catholic queen, shared destiny without meeting. Silence filled throne room. History stopped asking questions. It only listened quietly. Lessons lie in understanding. Centuries later, names spoken. Not rivals, not saints. Souls who dared everything. Love, rule, loss endured. The throne stands empty now. Beneath silence, shadows linger. One golden, one scarlet. Between them mercy. Night settles upon towers. River reflects pale moon. Their story whispers on, soft, unending, eternal breath. Elizabeth and Mary remembered. Two names carved deeply. Souls bound by crown. Time remembers them women. Each bore faith's burden, love, fear, and duty. Hands never met, yet fates clasped like books. Wars fought without swords. Spirit battled desire's pull. Mercy clashed against might. Echoes linger through centuries. Every life holds kingdoms. Every heart wears crowns. We rise, we rule, we falter, seek forgiveness. Their story endures still. It is not theirs. It belongs to all. Lessons breathe through time. Power fades, faith divides. Mercy remains the throne. Candles burn low. Shadows whisper history's gentle voice. They were not enemies, but mirrors of one. Tale of two queens. Closes in quiet peace. Crown, letter, shadow fade. All dissolve into stillness. Only mercy remains eternal. History exhales, soft and lasting. Centuries later, debates raged. Historians sought the truth. None could weigh fully the past's heavy silence. Whitehall and Fotheringhay stood corridors silent. Tapestries faded, crowns cold upon tables. Yet stories whispered still, letters etched in shadow, whispers carried by wind. Visitors paused, almost unconsciously, before portraits of queens. Eyes followed every motion, not accusation, but recognition. Two faces, two fates. Two hearts bore kingdoms. Elizabeth's gaze remained steady. Decisions weighed, victories won. Mercy delayed, conscience heavy. Reflections of time lingered. Mary's eyes, calm, resolute. Dignity in chains endured. Hope unbroken through captivity. Strength spoke silently through portraits. Mirror of history revealed neither victor nor vanquished. Both endured, both suffered. Both shaped the world. Letters floated across galleries, prayers whispered in chapels, silent acknowledgments exchanged quietly. Rival queens understood cost, a story of reflection, shadow intertwined with light, mercy stretched across centuries. Time remembered quiet grace. Every crown carries burden, every kingdom echoes choice. Hearts endured beyond ambition, lessons remain in memory. Close the book gently. History remembers more than thrones. It honors mercy eternal. Reflections wait to be seen.